So I have some thoughts about your editing last week.
Oh, really? Oh, I would love to hear about it. Um, by the way, quick question. Did we decide who was editing this episode?
Well, no, but I don't see how that matters to this conversation.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Okay. So you have some constructive criticism.
Oh, God, do I ever? So here's what I thought you could have done better. First, hi, toddlers. Welcome to Talking to Todd, a weekly podcast with Dwayne Johnson and Todd Prinz, where failure is always an option. Thanks for joining us. Hey, Todd.
Hey, how's it going?
It's good to be back. Things are right in the world.
Yeah. You know what? It's like, yes. And it's like, and I haven't done this for quite a while, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, but this is kind of like when I have driven in England, right? Like,
Uh-huh.
like I have the steering wheel and everything else, but I'm on the wrong side of the car. So nothing, like I'm in a car, which is my normal thing, but none of it feels right. You don't know and you go to back up, you're looking over the wrong shoulder. Like everything just is, it's familiar, but off. I'm back on the right side of the car now. Yes. Away from the controls, away from, well, other than the theme, away from all the controls and just in front of a microphone.
Not that there was a problem. I mean, there were no car wrecks last week. There were no major catastrophes.
Yeah.
The job got done.
Yeah.
How long did that take? How long did it take to get that job done last week?
Let me ask you this before I answer. Let's get context first. Generally speaking, how long does it take you to edit? If we record for, I don't know, what did we record for? About an hour or so? How long would that take you?
Let's say we record for an hour and 15 minutes, which is pretty typical
Yeah.
to get back to inside an hour, which is always the goal. It takes me 90 minutes generally.
Okay.
Net. And then if I decide to mess with the show art, there'll be more on that later. If I decide to mess with the show art, depends on what it is, but that can take me, 10 or 15 minutes to mess around with. But by and large, it's certainly less than 2 hours, far less than 2 hours, including the back and forths with you and the promotion and everything put together.
Okay. All right. I did more.
First time though.
Yeah.
So there's a learning curve. There is a learning curve.
There is, including, okay, so the answer to your question is I probably spent about 3 hours on that. Couple things to note. Number one, I know you use, and nobody cares about this, but you use Audacity to edit. I have on my Mac a copy of Logic Pro, and so I thought it's already there. It's an audio editor. I should use it. It took me 15 minutes to figure out why no sound was coming out of it. Yep. Logic Pro for the pros. It's not making any noise. So that killed some time.
I believe I specifically noted 2 or 3 times I use Audacity because it's really easy.
Yeah.
And free. Costs you nothing. Never mind. Sorry. Yes. Okay. So there's that.
What I really realized during editing all of this is after the show, and you and I were talking about this and trying to figure out what it was that I was going to do. You asked me a question with a suggested answer. And this is one of those cases where I took 2 seconds to agree with you. And that led to at least an extra hour's worth of work that had I have the ability to go back in time When you asked me a question, I would have thought about it for more than 2 seconds and would have given a different answer and would have saved me at least a third amount of time. Do you know what question you asked me and then suggested the answer to?
What was that?
Hey, Todd, um, the thing we pay for here does automatic strip silence. Do you want me to turn that on and strip out all the silence, or do you want me to leave it in so it'll be easy for you to see the back and forth? You know what? I won't strip the silence. Uh-huh. So it was at that moment that I made a critical error, and I didn't say, seriously, just let the automatic processing strip the silence. In hindsight, so in the back of my head, I'm like, oh, no, because like Logic Pro does a strip silence thing or what, you know what? I don't know how to do any of that. And most of the time was me taking out the silence that would have happened automatic. There was very little there was some stuff to clean up, but the bulk of the editing was just stripping the silence and moving and stripping and moving. Now, if I do this a couple of times, there's key combinations and stuff would slide around or whatever. What I also tell you is at the beginning of it, I was much more aggressive with the stripping of the silence and editing. And as this was progressing later and later and later, my standards for editing got lower and lower and lower.
That's the same curve that's happened for me over the last 2 years, as it turns out.
Not just within episodes, but with whole episodes.
Yes. So for the record,
did we swear? Nah, publish it. Did we swear? We did? Nah, publish it.
Yeah, nobody's paying attention. For the record, the strip silence takes any time where there is 2 seconds and then deletes it down to 1.2 seconds. 2 seconds of silence is a long time.
It is. And yet I don't know what we were doing last week. Actually, I do know what we were doing last week. And part of it was there was some latency. And so we were trying not to do crosstalk. So there were large swaths of. Anyway, that's fine. That's fine. Nobody wants to hear how the sausage is made. They just want to listen to the sausage. So, yeah, there. Is that right?
Show title: Listen to the sausage.
Nailed it. Yeah. And then again, had I done any bit of work, it took me 10 minutes to figure out how to export the MP3 out of Logic when I was done. You would think that there was a in the file menu there should be export or share. Yeah. Share. Apple loves share as the save. Nope, it's file menu bounce. You have to bounce the Logic project, and when you do that, you then get to pick the format in which you. I'm like, that's intuitive. I made a lot of errors. Turns out if there would have been a free program I could have just downloaded and used, I probably should have done that.
If only someone would have told you that.
Yeah.
Twice.
Anyway. Thanks, Eli. Yeah. Anyway. Yep. And then I did throw together some show art. But I was doing that. I desperately wanted this thing to go out on Friday. I wasn't going to go to Saturday. So I was basically pulling everything together and I had a self-imposed deadline in my head that I wanted this thing up by. And so the show art, I have a lot of photography tools. I used a whole bunch of them and none of them well. But that thing came together in about 5 minutes to at least do a general thing. So anyway, yeah. Did you pick up, by the way, on the show art, did you pick up on all of the changes?
So the no left turn sign.
Yes.
Was outstanding.
Thank you.
Reggie Jackson in the middle. And then you switched us left to right was my favorite.
Because I was in the driver's seat.
You were in the driver's seat. Oh my God. That was the best. That was the show art popped up on my phone, and oh my god, I lost it. I thought that was fantastic. Toddlers, if you caught the show art last week, oh my god, mwah, masterful. Oh, that was amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, totally worth it.
That took me like 6 runs at it to figure out how to flip us in position in the car. So, anyway, but yes.
Oh, yep, that was great. So toddler number one had thoughts.
Yep.
We started, and you said, "Hi, toddlers." And Amy looks at me, okay, this is weird. And we go through the entire show, and we get to the end, and you start doing the credits. Nope. Nope. Still weird. Nope. Still weird. Nope. And apparently, I did not do a good job on the, hey, how's it going? I did not nail that. I wish I'd have had a second take at it.
Even if you would have had a second take, it wouldn't have made it into the episode, so that's fine. Don't kick yourself about that.
It's just as well that I screwed it up because the screw up was going to stay in. Speaking of screw up staying in, as I'm telling my Reggie/Freddie Jackson story that you could have fixed and then chose not to.
Yes.
Point taken. Amy is looking at me. Freddie, it's Freddie. You're going to have a correction next week. It's Freddie. I'm like, hold on. It's Freddie. Great.
Just again, behind the scenes, editor's note. My instinct was I should drop all of that. But then the episode was going to be like 60, it was going to be like 32 minutes. So
yeah, that's not wrong.
It was like if I take this whole thing out. And here's the thing, when it comes to editing, which I've now learned, which is taking stuff out is much more work than leaving stuff in.
100%. It's 100% accurate.
By the way, speaking of feedback, Lisa said, "I'm listening and I hear you say, 'Hi, Todd.'" Nope, that does not sound right. That is not right. So, and I said, "Oh yeah, it's a whole thing." Yeah, it's a concept because I was going to edit, so we flipped the whole thing. She says, I don't know that you should have done that."
Choices were made.
Yep. So, yeah. Anyway, there you go.
Well, toddlers, another 117 episodes to go before you have to endure that again. So.
Is that a promise or a threat?
Let's see. You did. What did you figure out? You did 0.8% of the work, which means you need to do another episode here fairly quickly, so that you can get 2 in.
Thanks, Eli. Yeah, although now that I think about it, there was and this is where you get the actually. So I took 1 divided by 117, which is 0.00854, but I just rounded down because it's, close enough. So yes, that's right. But then I thought, but that doesn't include the bonus episodes. Right?
Oh, that's fair. Yeah.
And then each, if you went, that's just that's the prime episode. So there's probably a little bit, so maybe rounding down the bonus episodes does take that down a little bit more. And then there's a per minute thing, and it was like, screw it, Todd, it's a stupid joke. It's 0.8% of the work. Just leave it. Like nobody is checking. Like I don't have to turn in my math homework on the title of the show.
Sorry. Excuse me. Did you show your work there?
Yeah.
No.
I'm not sure that your denominator is correct. Fine, whatever. Yes. So,
for the record,
yeah.
Not that I'm bitter about this.
Yeah.
Mr. Mao's senior Math 4 class. I had the answer correct on a test, but I did not show my work. I missed getting an A on that test by the 4 points that he docked me on that test. missed getting an A in the class, which means I then had to take the final because I didn't have an A in the class. I got a B on the final, so I got a B in the class because he docked me for not showing my work, even though I had the answer correct. Not that I'm bitter 32 years later.
Uh, yep. Okay, real quick.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to correct, as you talk about how you had your math right. 2022 minus 1989 is 33.
As I'm looking at my watch to check the year, yes, you are correct.
So,
So maybe what you're saying is maybe I deserve that B in math for.
I'm just saying. At the end of the math rant about I'm good at math, don't make a math error.
Here's the thing, and I've made this joke lots over the last 30 years. I was a history major. My math is 1492 and 1776. That's the only math I have to worry about. I don't do math. I was a history major.
Alrighty. Well,
let's see. Oh, last thing from toddler number 1.
Yes.
As we are talking about the Rams,
their
the
move.
lawsuit,
Yes,
and their move. Didn't you guys already cover this story? Didn't you talk about this already? Well, possibly. Things kind of run together for us. And then eventually we got to the second part of the story, and she's like, oh, yeah, that's new. Oh, yep, nope, yep, okay. So the first part of the story was catch up for those that may not have listened before. And that was intentional background.
Previously on Talking to Todd. Yeah, like that.
Yeah, just like that. Anything else from Lisa on the upside down edition?
Just weird. Just weird. So, yep.
She's not wrong.
Any other feedback?
Greg and Sherry are in Ireland. I haven't heard from them. Oh, crap.
Hey, a couple of weeks ago, didn't Sherry say any driving advice for driving in Ireland because they were going to Ireland and we said we would get to that later?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, that just hit me.
Okay.
Well, hopefully I'll get this edited quick and get it up.
Okay.
What do you got?
Well, there is one piece. I already talked about this a little bit, right? Like, being on the wrong side of the car or whatever. Here's what I will tell you. And again, Lisa does 98%. I'm starting to see a theme here. Lisa does of our last 2 trips, she did 100% of the driving. In all of our trips, I may have done 2%, probably actually even less, maybe 0.8%, maybe. Anyway, and she will tell you that I almost killed her and everybody in the car multiple times. I don't think it would have been fatal. Anyway, here's what I would say though. If you are not used to driving over there, this is Todd's travel tip. Top tip. If while you're driving at any point you feel comfortable, you're doing it wrong. If you aren't hyper aware and constantly saying, am I in the right lane? Am I in the right spot? Did I turn correctly? Like if you aren't second guessing yourself 100% of the time, if at any point you just go, boy, I think I'm getting pretty good at it, that's when the truck comes. So at all times, you should be second guessing yourself and feeling like you're doing it wrong. Because if you don't feel like you're doing it wrong, that is when you are doing it wrong. Bad things are about to happen. There you go. Todd's top tip.
Lots of self-talk when you're driving.
Like
left
this
lane,
does not feel
in the left lane.
Yeah, just stay
left.
Over here. Just
stay left.
Yep.
Stay. I know it feels wrong. Stay left. Just lots of self-talk. Lots of self-talk.
Yeah,
that's a good note. Hopefully they pick this up before they hit the road again.
I hope so too. It's completely on us. We screwed up here. On the other hand, Craig and Sherry, if this didn't get to you in time, remember it's either a good trip or it's content, and we would love some content. So,
Talking to Todd accepts no legal responsibility. for any advice given on this podcast
Or not given.
or fair. Yes,
Yeah.
all of it. Legal disclaimer. Hopefully, our lawyers will. They don't listen to this podcast either. Let's see. Follow up.
Yeah.
Did what? Sorry, we typically go to corrections before follow up. Did we have anything else? I think we corrected almost everything real time last week.
Yeah, I think we got that. I think there was a 6-minute correction, so it was fine.
Thanks, man. So follow up. Slow horses.
Yeah, so a couple of weeks ago I talked about we finished up Slow Horses on Apple TV Plus, on Apple TV. Season 1 wrapped up. Highly recommended it. Season 2 is already shot. It's coming out this fall. Just read today that Apple picked up seasons 3 and 4 of Slow Horses, which will cover books 3 and 4 in the series. So there will be more slow horses coming at some point. So anyway, just wanted to point that out. And apparently Apple saw the numbers and said, oh yeah, we should probably sign them up for some more stuff. So yep, there you go. Anything else on follow up?
I had this. This is a picture.
Oh, okay.
Last week on the show, we talked about Yaz Queen. And in the Airbnb where we were staying, there was a Yaz Queen mug. Little did I know.
As if it was meant to be.
It absolutely. So there was that. And then I thought that would nicely flow into, if we didn't have any other follow-up, some travel stories.
Okay, sure.
So I took more pictures while we were on the road for this last week.
Okay.
This one I forgot to share while I was in Frankfurt. And this was right next to the Capitol building.
West Todd Street. There you go.
That was half a block from the state capital of Kentucky. And that was one West Todd, because on the other side of the street was East Todd. I was standing right in the middle of Todd. I was at Todd Central right there. Literally, I think I was at the corner of Todd and Main.
Oh, it's just unfortunate that the other road doesn't go perpendicular, because then you'd be at the intersection of Todd and Todd. So
that's where it all comes together.
And apparently I'm tobacco free, which is accurate, but I mean, it's good to know.
Smoke them if you got them. So we spent the week in Kentucky visiting lots of distilleries, some that were on our schedule, some that were not on our schedule. We ended the week in Louisville and spent a lot of time walking around downtown Louisville, including when we walked by Doc Crow's. They had this sign out front.
Doc Crow's, we have the tenderest butts. I don't know. Given Kentucky's politics, I'm not sure that's even legal. You couldn't put that kind of sign up in Florida. That's all I'm saying.
And the last tour that we did, we went. Have you ever been to Louisville?
Maybe driven through it, but I don't. Let's just say no, because I don't believe that. I have no memory of it, so no.
Okay. We toured. Our last stop was the Louisville Slugger factory and museum.
Okay.
Which was really cool. I mean, I got to step into a batting cage and swing Johnny Bench's model.
Okay.
Model of bat.
You look about bench's size. Come here.
I made contact on 9 of the 10 pitches.
Okay.
So, and a couple of them I hit pretty well.
So you made contact. I mean, you made contact on 9 out of 10 pitches, which means you're now overqualified to be a Major League Baseball hitter. Nobody makes contact.
And one of my all-time favorite stories, and I don't think I have ever told this story on the podcast. Amy got tickets from one of her vendors that were really, really good iCub seats. They were in row 2 behind home plate.
Okay.
And she and I went down. And the reason we wanted to go was because Ian Happ was back from Chicago in Iowa on a rehab assignment. Right?
Oh, God, I feel sorry for the. Oh, different rehab assignment. Sorry, baseball rehab. That's something else. Never
He
mind.
had been injured.
Okay. Yeah. There we go.
And was back in Iowa. I mean, he had been in Iowa. He came up through the farm system, right? So we had seen him in Iowa before, but didn't really. I mean, Amy watches a lot of base. At that point, we had the Marquee Network on TV, whatever, watched a lot of Cubs games. And so Ian Happ was going to be back in Des Moines. So we're down, sitting in row 2. He's in the on deck circle, warming up. And
Okay.
she looks at me and says, he's a lot shorter in person than he is on TV. And his head whips around. Because we were in row 2. And my wife isn't always the quietest person. He can hear you. And from that point forward, anytime Ian Happ is on TV, I say, he's a lot shorter in real life. And Amy's getting real tired of it. But Ian Happ has signed a contract with the Louisville Slugger Company.
Okay.
And so Amy got to hold the model of bat that Ian Happ swings. And we walked into the room and I said, his bat's a lot shorter in real life.
That's exactly what I was going to do. I was waiting for you to take a pause so I could look at the picture and go, boy, that bat looks a lot smaller in real life than it does on TV.
And I got punched for that.
You're lucky, though, because she was holding a bat. It could have been much worse. By the way, I'm not saying that you guys were or were not in the official Louisville Slugger Museum, but I'm looking at this picture. I'm just going to be honest. I think you guys might have gotten your money taken by a scam because so there's Ian Happ, right? But I'm seeing, is that Brian McKay? And I'm looking at all the rest of the bats that are behind Amy. They're all just cylindrical pieces of wood. They're not actual. They're just dowels. They're big dowels. They're not even bats. Like I'm hoping like we're like, sure, we make bats. Whatever. They're round. Close enough. $52.
Technically, those are called billets.
Okay. Oh boy, somebody went to an educational thing on vacation.
Yes, they did. We'll cover that in a little later. And they had bats from one player on every major league team. The guy from the Kansas City Royals, I have no idea who he is. Couldn't even tell you if he's still a Royal. Nope, no clue.
So the Louisville Slugger has all-star rules in effect?
Apparently they do. Everybody gets in.
So, look, we got to have one. Like, why are they here? Everybody gets in for, every team gets represented whether they deserve it or not.
So this was in another section of the museum. And
okay, so you got, I'm not sure about your stance there, to be honest, but okay. So what are we looking at here?
that's me holding a game used Alex Gordon bat,
Ooh, wow. Who's
right?
Alex? Who's Alex Gordon?
Um, so if you don't know who Alex Gordon is, he's maybe my number 2 favorite Kansas City Royal of all time behind
Oh,
George Brett.
oh, well, there you go. Oh,
And
that's how I know it's his bat instead of Brett's bat. There's not nearly enough pine tar on that to be to
exactly,
be
yes.
George
No,
Brett's bat.
I said I swung Johnny Bench's model bat in the cage. Had they had George Brett's model, I would have come out, with pine tar all over it. But they didn't have George Brett's bat, so I did not swing that. So
So
that's go
are
ahead.
all of those bats behind there then? Are those all game used bats?
Yes, they are. And in fact, Amy, can you see or guess whose bat she's holding there?
Oh, all right, hold on. Let me enhance. Enhance. That works on CSI. Oh wait, hold on. You know what? Actually, I can enhance. That's Chris Bryant. Hey, it worked. Oh my goodness. I mean, it's no Logic Pro, but it's pretty good. Oh, but
So,
that's an old one because it says Chris Bryant, Chicago Cubs.
but A, game used from when he was a Chicago Cub. Here's the other thing. My wife is not left-handed.
So I was going to say, wait a minute. I was actually, I'm like, wait, what? Wait, she's on the, what? She's on my side of the plate. What? Okay.
Did I reverse it? No, because you can read all the names behind her on the wall.
Oh, oh, that makes it much more valuable though. So was the photographer a lefty? So she switched to get the lefty lefty matchup.
No, I was the photographer there. And
Okay. Okay.
and until they handed me Alex Gordon's bat and I stood on the correct side of the plate, at that point we looked at each other and did you stand on the left side? Okay. Okay, so there's that.
By the way, I know this is everybody's favorite part where we just look at pictures that nobody can see. I'm just going to say this. Um,
Sorry, toddlers.
if I look at the two of these pictures, Amy standing on the wrong side of the plate, she looks like she's got, frankly, a much better batting stance ready for power hitting because yours is way out away from your body and the bat's straight up at like I don't like there's no way you're gonna get around like you can't get around with that. She looks like she's ready to like take it out of the park.
But I was actually doing my Steve Garvey impression at the plate.
Okay. Okay.
It's
About three jokes just jumped into my mind about what a Steve Garvey impersonation actually is, but I'm pretty sure they're all either explicit or will get us sued. So I'm going to stay away from those.
not Steve Harvey, Steve Garvey.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah.
But Steve was very upright and held his bat out away from his body, very, very specifically.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll take your word for it. Yes. By the way, I'm just going to say I'm looking. Oh, this has gone on way too long. I'm looking at the names. So each team has a game used bat, and I'm
Uh-huh.
looking at who is represented, and I can see two of the three columns, and I'm very impressed. I mean, some of these I'm like, wait, there's Willie Stargell and Tony Gwynn,
Uh-huh.
right? Ivan Rodriguez, Joe Carter. Here's the thing. I I don't know. I have to question, however, these are huge names in the game. Alan Trammell, Todd Helton, sure. Um, the representative for the Red Sox is slightly underwhelming. Quick, name the five best hitters in Boston Red Sox history. And you got your Babe Ruth, you got your Yastrzemski, right?
Wade
You got
Boggs.
Wade Boggs, Carlton Fisk,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Noma, right? Like you
Uh-huh.
got, and then of course you have Xander Bogarts. What?
Yep. So yeah, it was a great trip. I can't decide whether or not this is showing you this is a good idea.
Probably not. Jeez. Okay. So you went to the largest. So I'm assuming what you're showing me here is a picture of you guys visited the largest liquor store in Kentucky. This is you visiting that.
Yeah, no, this is a live shot from Benny's Beverage Depot.
Oh, wow. So how much room did you have in your trunk?
Not much after that.
Hey, look at that, Buffalo Trace, home of Reggie Jackson.
We took requests before we went. Hey, because good bourbon is hard to find, and people have their specific tastes. And as we covered last week, there are no wrong answers. You like what you like. Everybody has opinions, whatever. But if you had a specific request, we would see what we could do to fulfill that request while we were on the bourbon trail. And some people liked Basil Hayden. Some people liked Maker's Mark. Some people liked Four Roses. Some people liked Buffalo Trace. Some people liked Blanton's. We liked them all.
I was going to say, whoever liked the Four Roses, sorry about that, because that bottle looks half empty. Oh, that's the way they do it at the distillery. Yeah, that's the way it came.
Wanted to make sure that one was good for you. That's we got. There was a lot of one for you and one for me, one for you and one for us. But yeah, so we've got lots of deliveries to make now that we're back. There is a state law about how much liquor you can bring across state lines
Mm-hmm.
per
Mm-hmm.
person.
Yeah.
We in Iowa, I don't know what the Illinois laws are, but I
It's
know
a good
the
thing. It's a good thing you didn't find out.
well, because we stopped in Illinois, and this is not all of the bottles that we came back with, because we left some bottles in Illinois
Mm.
with friends, and brother-in-law left some bottles in Illinois. So by the time we actually crossed the state lines, I think we were close to legal.
Close to legal. It's not close. Like above or below the line. Yeah, we're
Nope.
close. Yeah, it's
Nope.
close.
Nope. I'm not making
Within
any
within spitting
judgments or
distance.
distinctions about which side of that legal line we were on. I know we were close. And possibly because we had drank some of that Four Roses bottle that you see there was why we were, yes. Anywho, wow, I look at the clock. We're at 50 minutes, and I've been talking about this trip in bourbon. Oh my God, toddlers, I am sorry. This is the worst. Here, look at pictures of my summer vacation ever. Ever. Oh my God, I'm done. Okay, I'm done. I'll quit. You got anything else here?
Oh, I have so many things. No, seriously, we're done. That's wait, moving on.
Let's see. Todd's Tech Corner, sponsored by Taylor Family Farms Foundation.
Yeah, just a quick hit. Next week is Apple's Worldwide Developer Conference, WWDC. Next
Uh-huh.
Monday morning, they're going to talk about all the stuff that's coming in the new operating systems. So next week, there's going to be all sorts of discussion about all the new operating systems. Don't worry about it. Like, it's not going to be released until September or October of this year. So you're going to hear about all of it, but it's not going to be a thing in the next week or two. Although I'm sure I'll have all sorts of stuff to talk about. But anyway, so there's going to be a bunch of Apple news next week. Don't worry about it.
Cool.
Yeah, there you go.
How many idiots do you think we have time for? Well, more if I edit.
Um, You know what? I think. Well, you tell me. Do you want to do a couple of idiots so you have some padding, or should we just get right on to what we're watching?
Let's see how quickly we can move through two of these. Pick your favorite two. What do you got?
Well, all right. I'm gonna hit a couple of these real quick. Maybe we can get through a bunch of them. But French crowd control. Last Saturday was the UEFA Champions League final in France.
Oh
Real
yeah.
Madrid against Liverpool.
Uh-huh.
Um, uh, Real Madrid won. Um, it was 1-0. Very interesting game. However, what I will say is the idiots are the French crowd control. They had to postpone the game, the start of the match by by 30 minutes, and they kept saying it was because of late arriving fans. But social media was pointing out that basically, especially for the Liverpool fans, there were people that were lined up to get into the stadium more than 2 hours before the start of the match, and they still hadn't gotten in when the match was supposed to start. Partly because all of the entrances, except for one, that they were, again, 80,000 seat stadium, police were directing people to entrances that were not opened. And then when they tried to go backwards, police told them they couldn't, and then pepper sprayed people. So people were stuck at fences with more people coming in. And we actually were incredibly lucky that there wasn't, there could have been tens or hundreds of deaths in this whole thing. And then after the match, this hasn't even gotten talked about. There were gangs of French youths attacking fans leaving. And there are hundreds and hundreds of reports of people being robbed and assaulted and having fireworks shot at them, and people in trains while they were in the trains. Windows were being broken by people trying to get on the train to steal their stuff. And most of the reports and pictures show that all this was happening with the French police standing by watching, but not actually getting involved. So here's what I would say. It looks whatever you've just seen in the original, like couple of whatever, like it is 100 times worse than what UEFA and the French officials have said it is. Terrible.
Did you say Utes?
What's a Ute? Okay, got that one. Here's what I would have to say is for all of us that go to sporting events, we just take for granted when we go to NFL games that things are going to be fine. In a lot of in France this year, especially, but also in Mexico, we've talked about this, but like in France especially, things with multiple matches are not fine and massive crowd control problems. Like I call them idiots, and I think we actually take for granted the fact of how many sporting events have we been to that you don't have to worry about being attacked and pepper sprayed by police, or when somebody says go to this gate that they refuse to open the gate. Like, oh my goodness. Let's see. Moving on to something else, however. Let's bring in Major League Baseball, idiots, and fantasy football. Last week, prior to a match, sorry, we're now baseball. Switch the nomenclature. Okay, boom. Prior to a game, a member of the Cincinnati Reds walked up to, was it a member of the Dodgers? And slapped him. And everybody went, what's going on? Well, apparently they were in a fantasy football league the previous year. And the Cincinnati Reds player thought that the Dodgers player had cheated by stashing a player on the injured reserve or whatever, and cost him money. And so the next time he saw them in person, he walked up to him and slapped him in the face.
High stakes fantasy football. And
Yes.
it was apparently a habitual problem, according to the slapper.
However, according to the slappee, who still had all of the screenshots, he had the rules screenshotted on his phone, and also what he did, and showed that this was all within the rules. And when we say high stakes, I believe it was a $10,000 buy-in. and the loser of the league had to pay $10,000 in addition to their $10,000 buy-in. But just to show, the other reason he slapped him was because the other person disrespected his team in the league. I believe it was Jock Peterson, right? From the like, and Jock said, "Do you want to see what I did?" And he showed a GIF an animated GIF that he did in the football league, and it was a meme, I guess, of 3 weightlifters lifting a weight above their head, and 2 of them drop it, and one of them drops the weight on their head, and above it, he put Dodgers. He put the Dodgers logo over one of them, and the Giants logo over one of them. And then he put the San Diego Padres logo over the one that hit themselves in the head because the slapper played for the Padres that year, and they had a complete and total meltdown, and they screwed up the end of the season. And now this guy is pissed off that he didn't show us respect. And I'm like, oh my God, they're children. They're children.
Yes.
By the way, this broke today. Did you see who the commissioner of that fantasy league was, according to the slapper?
No, I did not see that.
Mike Trout, who, according to the slapper, did a terrible job as commissioner, and who, according to Jock Peterson, he didn't even want the job anyway.
I can identify with that.
I don't know who wants to be a commissioner of a fantasy football league.
I can, as someone who's done it for going on 22 years now, I can say no. Nobody wants that job. It sucks to be you. There's like 10 people that will get that joke. I don't think any of them listen to this podcast.
All right. I think we've covered enough. You pick which ones of those work and get us under an hour.
We may be a little heavy this week. We'll see how it goes. I had one other thing that I had forgotten to mention under travel stories. As we were driving through Kentucky, we drove by a KFC, and I was trying to figure out why it wasn't at that point just FC.
Because that would make it a soccer club.
Thank you. Thank you for clearing that up.
I'm here to help.
What are you watching?
Okay. Couple things. Number one, last week, Disney Plus dropped Obi-Wan. Yeah. So we watched the first 2 episodes. I enjoyed it. Was kind of getting into the whole, just getting into the environment again, kind of a whatever. Lisa registered as present. So, yeah. So anyway, that continues. And the other thing,
I have to tell you, we loved this show. First 2 episodes, the sass out of this little girl channeling Leia. Oh my God. I loved it. 2 eyes wide open. Big thumbs up. Didn't fall asleep at all during these 2 episodes. I loved it. We just thought it was so, so good.
Let's see. Oh, and the other one, I'm going to throw this out. I don't normally recommend, I talk about the sports I watch, don't necessarily recommend it. What I will say is if you have any interest at all in sports, the NHL's Western Conference Championship matchup started last night, and it is the Colorado Avalanche versus the Edmonton Oilers. There is an argument that could be made that the two best young players in the NHL, and arguably the 2 best players in the NHL, are in this series. Connor McDavid with the Oilers, and the other guy with the Avalanche. I should have looked that up.
Quick, let's talk about sports we don't watch.
Yeah. Nathan McKinnon. I started to look it up. I didn't actually even look it up. It's Nathan McKinnon. Okay. Tuesday night was game 1. The score was 8-6. And actually, based off of the trend, the scoring slowed down in the third period. What I'm going to tell you is if you just want to watch people going up and down the ice and a lot of really good people scoring goals, both of them had their backup goalies in for different reasons by the end of the game. Like, this is like watching arena football. It's fantastic. I wouldn't watch the other one. The Rangers, the Eastern Conference Finals, the Rangers goalie has just been stopping everything. That's going to be like a 1-0, 2-1 kind of game. The Western Conference is the one you want to watch because it's just going to be entertaining. Whether you like hockey or not, this is going to be exciting. So, anyway, that's what I'm watching. How about you? What are you watching?
Well, we watched Obi-Wan as referenced. We're also now all caught up on Rue, so we are ready to do this group watch thing on Friday.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Got to figure out how to do that. Yeah.
I guess I would say, not that we need to go very deep down this little rabbit hole, 24 outfits is a lot.
It is. Yeah. Yes.
And it's too bad that they aren't sending people home, because the sooner they could send Evie Oddly home, I would be happier.
Ooh. Oh, shots fired. Ooh. Okay. I'm
Prediction?
gonna,
Prediction?
yes.
She will not get a star the entire season. There are no fillers. There's no fillers. There's no filler this season. They're all champions, right? They're all queens, queen of queens, blah blah blah. Nope. Evie Oddly's the filler. Just saying.
I'm going to look forward to our feedback section next week. I'm just going to pencil in some time right now on the rundown.
Not a fan.
I guess what I would say is if you heard us talk about Rue and you haven't watched it yet, this season of All Stars available on Paramount Plus. It's different than any other season, but it's 8 people who have won before. It's sort of the best of what it could be. You don't have the bad stuff. You don't like it's, and because they've all won, I mean, there isn't sort of, they all know each other. They've all toured with each other. I mean, some people would love the back and forth and like everybody's just supportive of it. It's like, this is like the nicest version, the best version of Rue that you're going to get. I don't think every season would work this way, but occasionally it's kind of, this is like an all-star thing, and this all-star is better than the regular show in many ways, unlike, let's say, the NFL Pro Bowl, which is just a disaster, right? So anyway, there you go. Recommend for that.
And it's about points. Nobody goes home and they score points, and whoever has the most points, I don't know. Anyway, so this week, I guess I'll go first. The thing that I learned this week, one, before we taped tonight, the typical back and forth. What are we going to do? Are we going to do it? We're going to record tonight. We're going to tomorrow. When are we? Blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, we're going to do it tonight. I'm going to go mow. Hopefully, there's no content. I would have been done mowing at least an hour before I was, had the mower not died 3 different times that I had to take it apart, call the mower repair guy, talk me through on it. I just don't tempt fate. Don't, before you're going to do something, say, hopefully there's no content. Hopefully this is boring. Hopefully nothing will go wrong. Don't tempt fate. The second thing that I learned this week, time for America's favorite game. Todd, identify that bus. I will give you 1,000 guesses, and you will not be able to identify whose tour bus that is.
All right, buckle up, toddlers. I got 1,000 shots at this. You're gonna probably want to take an intermission here. Kid Rock.
Similar hair.
Dolly Parton.
Similar outfits.
Miley Cyrus.
Multiple personalities.
You know what? I could keep this up all night because the next one was going to be Xander Bogarts, but go ahead. So, Ted Cruz.
More makeup?
Alyssa.
Alyssa Edwards was in Louisville on Thursday night when we were in town, or Friday night, whenever we got to town, we walked by. I don't know this for a fact. I don't know it's true, but I just believe it to be whatever Bill Maher's thing
All
is.
that matters now.
Right at this point. So there were 2 tour buses back down this alley. So it could have been the other one, but I believe that it was the bronze one, because the tour bus is for Alyssa, and then the trailer from behind is all wigs.
Oh, I was going to say that's got to be that's a 1 year's supply of Anastasia makeup from Anastasia Beverly Hills is in that trailer.
Oh, how about you? Did you learn anything this week?
So while you were out doing all this stuff, last Sunday was the day of motorsport racing. So you start the Sunday morning off with the Monaco Grand Prix and Formula One.
Mm-hmm.
Then you move to the Indianapolis 500, and then you move to NASCAR with the Coca-Cola 600. There's a lot of racing, and the Formula One. I mean, there was even a little bit of racing in Formula One, and that race was the start of it was delayed. So literally started watching it later, and then watched Formula One, watched the Indy 500, watching some of the Coca-Cola 600, and that became the longest race in NASCAR history by mileage because reasons and 17 or 19 cautions. Eventually, near the end of that race, this is what I said. I haven't done anything today and I'm exhausted. Sitting there, and again, by the way, I closed all the rings. I did 30 minutes of exercise. I closed all my rings. I wasn't seated the entire time. I did get up, and the Indy 500 and the Coca-Cola 600 are like baseball. You get, you check in on it and you move around. It's golf or whatever. But what I'll tell you is you watch that much. And I know every year I go, last year I got tired of doing all this. Don't watch all of it. And by the time the year rolls around, I go, whoo, 3 races. And by the end of the day, I'm like, I got to remember this again for next year. Ooh, 3 races.
The music is Happy Boy by Kevin MacLeod. You can subscribe to Talking to Todd wherever you get your pods. Just search Talking and the number 2. No G, no space. I'm a little out of practice here. Excuse me. Sorry about that. We have a page on Facebook, so you can tweet us on Facebook. Pretty sure that's how that works. You can check out our award-winning merch on Zazzle. You can leave us a voicemail at 515, also CPA. That's 515-257-6272. You can stop by and see us at the Tube City Home Office. Please don't do that. Thanks to our listeners and our sponsors. Toddler 3187, the Taylor Farms Family Foundation, and DG to Go Cedar Valley, and Mow to Go Cedar Valley, which is apparently a new service that Dan is providing. He will come to your house and mow your lawn. Mow to Go. Their episode last week was hilarious. Oh my God. Anyway, if you haven't checked out Educated Idiots, I highly recommend. Oh my God, they're hilarious. Anyway, send us your feedback. Feedback, as always, feedback at talkingtotodd.com. Todd?
So I don't know if this is the most recent one, but according to the State of Iowa Alcohol Beverage Division's Educational Bulletin, EB-2018-02, issued on April 16th, 2018, A personal importation of alcoholic beverages into Iowa is allowed, but is limited to the amounts and the uses once imported. How much of each type of alcoholic beverage can be personally imported? Up to 9 liters of alcoholic liquor that is personally obtained outside the state of Iowa can be imported and be in an individual's possession per calendar month. So just to be clear, there were 2 of you in the car. That is 4.76 gallons. The limit is 4.76 gallons. And looking at the picture, I'm going to say, you were close.
Yeah, so we got a 5-gallon bucket of bourbon we're bringing in.
You got to drink. You got to drink a quarter of that off the top. But yes, you could bring in. You could go to Home Depot, get the 5-gallon bucket, fill it up to right about here, and just bring it in.
That's
per month.
And that's why the Four Roses bottle is half full. Oh my God, now I got to leave that in.
Yep. You're welcome.
It's a talent. It's a talent. It truly is, folks. Oh, I honestly don't know what to say. Hopefully I won't have to clean any of that up next week to keep me out of jail. We'll be back right here. We're talking to Todd. So at one point, a security guard comes out while we're walking by and walks up to the bus and opens the door. Should I go get an autograph? Should I go get an autograph? Should I go see who it is? No, don't. I will let you try to figure out who is who in that conversation.